Hello and welcome to ZigWheels, and on this episode of ZigTalk, we are going to be talking about...
Hello friends, पैसे बचा लो.
But before we carry on, don't forget to subscribe and click the little bell to stay notified. Okay, I'll handle that. We are talking about the KTM 390 Adventure. Big news from KTM, right?
Yes, they just announced yesterday that they are going to have the bike launching in India in 2019.
So the thing is, KTM has made this announcement, so who should be excited about it? This is the first question. Who should be worried about it? And lastly, will the wait be worth it? Because the wait, it's not clear, right?
Based on KTM's track record, well, you can expect a debut at Milan 2018, which is in November, going into production and launch in the first quarter of 2019.
So why exactly have they made this announcement now?
Very
We've still got
sneaky,
a long way to go before we get
sneaky. Because recently BMW announced that they are launching the G310GS.
KTM is being a bit naughty here.
Very naughty.
So it's like all of us who've been waiting for an adventure bike, and we've just been like, maybe our patience is wearing thin. We're like, okay, we could go for a Hero XPulse or a BMW G310GS. Suddenly you get this announcement and you're like, oh, hang on a second, maybe I can wait a little bit longer.
Yeah, it's not, 2019 isn't that far away.
Actually, let's look at it this way. If somebody was looking for an ADV bike and was, let's say, excited the imminent arrival of the Hero XPulse, should that person wait?
The XPulse represents a very different kind of motorcycle. Think of it as a grown-up Impulse in that sense. So a more affordable, do your daily commutes on. So I think it works better in that sense, and it will be a lot cheaper. I mean, we don't have pricing yet, but it will definitely be a lot cheaper than either the KTM Adventure or the BMW GS.
For that function, the XPulse would still be a very good motor, like a first off-road bike.
Like a first trail bike to have.
Yeah,
makes
it'll be
perfect sense.
cheap, so even if you drop it, break it, it's I mean, it'll be significantly cheaper than either the GS or the KTM Adventure.
Like the person who is starting off with off-roading, I think it makes sense for them to just go for the XPulse as soon as it lands.
Right.
That makes a lot more sense.
And we already have the Himalayan also in that kind of space.
Again, going more towards the pricing of the KTM, though it's still quite a ways off in that sense.
So would you ask somebody thinking of buying a Himalayan to wait for the KTM Adventure?
Probably would. I mean, if you're going to spend 2 lakh rupees, then even spending a little over 1 lakh more in today's days of EMIs, it's not
too much of a stretch.
It's not a huge stretch.
We've not ridden any of these motorcycles except for the Himalayan. And the next motorcycle that we haven't ridden about, but we will talk about, is the BMW G310GS, which is, well, not all that off-roady. Like, sure, it has the suspension, a little bit difference.
Yeah, it is clearly a road-focused adventure tourer.
Yeah,
clearly.
The rims are alloys.
Even the wheel sizes. So it's clearly road-focused. KTM is...
Yeah, that's the thing, right? KTM could do a bike that looks like an adventure bike, and that's not really off-road oriented, or just somewhat off-road oriented. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, KTM doesn't do that, no? Like even with the RC, like they went all out. They did not give a hoot about making it comfortable or soft. No, it's a sport bike. It will behave like a sport bike. From what we expect and understand, the 390 Adventure would be an all-out, smallish capacity adventure bike, a thorough one.
Now, for a lot of people who've been introduced to KTM in India, younger riders, KTM as a brand is born and bred in the dirt.
Yeah, they do that
off-road. That is where they started off. The small Duke range and all is what has really pushed them towards road-focused motorcycles.
But like for the longest time, they just had like 2 road bikes and that's it. Everything else was off-road. Everything else.
This is going to be interesting. We are going to get the first off-road oriented KTM after we've had so many road-oriented bikes from Austria. This is actually this heart of KTM. So I would be very surprised if they compromise on the ability of the motorcycle.
I'm sure they won't.
And there are some interesting things. If you look at the 2017 Duke, right?
Yeah.
It has the supermoto mode. Suddenly when you think about adventure, you start thinking, off-road mode for
just
ABS, right?
The same thing technically, just change the name to off-road.
Off-road ABS, which is basically you have ABS on the front wheel, no ABS on the back wheel, so you can lock it and slide it.
And just imagine that. Now you already have throttle by wire.
Yeah.
So which means if you wanted to make off-road riding mode somewhere which modulates power delivery,
softens the power delivery, exactly.
You can do it. It's very easy.
Would you put it past KTM to do something like that? Would you?
I think they might. I think it's a good option. I see the ABS, that's a given. But the riding modes, I'm 50 on the fence on that. But I think they might do it.
Okay, would you go for off-road mode for the power and all that and skip the TFT screen?
I think I'd do that. I'd rather have the modes than the screen because
I'm obviously also thinking about the price tag.
So it helps to keep the price down when you're buying the bike, because the price difference between the base LCD versus the full TFT, it's quite a bit of a price difference. And again, it's an off-road bike, which means you might or mostly will drop it at some point.
Drop it for sure.
Breaking that screen, it would just be a major heartache. Yeah, in that sense, I think it would make sense to go for the simpler, more cheaper screen.
Okay, so coming to that is the price. Right now, we're looking at the 390 Duke that's on sale in India. It's about 2.75 lakh rupees.
It's 270 on road Delhi. It's about 280 on road Pune. Yeah.
So how much do you think we're looking at? Say spoke rims, tires which are off-road oriented.
Yes.
A different frame.
It's a completely different frame, because just even in terms of ergonomics, the current frame really can't do an adventure bike. So it starts from there. Like it's a brand new frame, then suspension with more travel, higher spec suspension basically. And KTM will obviously want to go for high spec off-road rims and not just random cheap wire spoke rims. It all adds quite a bit of cost.
Correct.
So if I had to guess a price, I would say anywhere between 325 to 350 on the road. From what my understanding is, it will be more affordable than the GS and it will be more focused on the GS. So for someone who wants a proper adventure bike, I think it should be a no-brainer, I would think.
Yeah, and just take this with a little bit of pinch of salt, because we've not ridden any of these bikes.
Yeah, this is all
In fact, we've not even seen the 390
wild speculation.
Nobody has, for that matter. In fact, the 390 Adventure, what will it look like?
At least the design language would be similar to what you've seen on the 790 Adventure concept that KTM showed off at Milan in 2017.
Correct. If you look at the stance and all, it's more like ADV, long-legged ADV, the design, but like a trailie in that sense.
More different.
Yeah.
That's long seat and
a tall screen.
Yeah.
And KTM has managed to keep that family look connected. Like even you look at the 790 Duke, the face looks like.
So now I think that what you've seen, what began with the 1290 Super Duke, that pointy headlight which came on the 390, we saw that on the 790 as well, and on the 790 Adventure as well to a certain extent. So that is likely to be carried on here as well, on the 390 Adventure. And while details are not all that clear, one thing is going to be sure, that you're going to save a bit of cash with the 390 Adventure.